Welcome to From Caving In to Crushing It, the podcast for those who find themselves immersed in adversity and choose to write their story instead of having others write it for them. I'm Drew Durrani, and I'm your host. Jason, so good to see you.
You too, Drew.
Oh man,
Thanks for having me.
it's my pleasure. I always like to thank the person who introduced me to my guests because there's always a reason why people introduce people. And Kim DiGiacomo, thank you very much for introducing me to Jason. Really appreciate it. Um, Jay, when we're young, our family, friends, everybody around us, they think they're helping, so it's not malicious, but they really tell us that life is a straight line. It's linear. If we do certain things in life in a specific order, everything's going to turn out fine. You do A plus
Hmm.
B plus C, D is going to happen. And for the most part, life is linear until it's not. At some point, an external circumstance gets in our way. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. When we see it, we have a choice. Sometimes we ignore it, sometimes we don't. I always believe there's three types of men out there. Man number one is the one where that adversity is in front of him and he doesn't even see it. He's got a ton of blind spots, and he lives life really blind. He just goes on autopilot and does what happens, and he really doesn't see anything in front of him that could make him think of changing. And then
Right.
there's man number two. He's got a more heightened self awareness, and he sees that adversity. Yet he says, "I'm the victim. This is stuff happening to me." He plays the blame game, and figures life. You can't change it. It's there the way it is, and I gotta just live my life the way other people want me to. On his
Hmm.
deathbed, he's got a ton of regrets, Jason. And there's man number three. And that's you. That's the men I have on this show. Heightened self awareness. You see that adversity and you say to yourself, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not a barrier, that's an opportunity. This is
Hmm.
life doing something for me. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take massive action. And on the other side, I'm going to be a stronger Jason Nightingale.
Hmm.
Please reach back for the audience as far as you need to and let us know that defining moment or moments that transformed you and gave you that paradigm shift to go from whatever man you were to man number three in the Jason Nightingale you are now.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me on again. And
Absolutely.
not to challenge what you just said, but you brought up something very interesting. Sometimes, however, in life, we go through different phases. And I feel like I have been all three of those men
Absolutely. And it
at
can happen
different times in my life.
and
But
in the
that
same day
defining,
we can be all three in the same day.
yeah, but that defining moment
Yeah.
when that finally hit me was happened on August 14th,
Okay.
2015.
Yeah. Okay.
At around 5:30 at night. We
Mm.
had 100 days with no rain
Oh
in
my
our little canyon in our valley
God.
here in Idaho County.
Yeah.
And there was a dry lightning storm that blew over, and it started 14 different little fires from the
Yeah.
strikes,
Right.
which ended up burning into one big 85,000 acre inferno.
Oh my goodness.
And in this canyon, it created over a 50-mile-an-hour wind, and we all had to evacuate. And everyone in this side of town. Well, I live out of town up on the mountain,
Right.
and I was over at my mother-in-law's across the valley. When I saw the fire approaching, I called my friend Steve Ball because I could see it by his property on the
Yeah.
other mountain. I said, Steve, there's a fire like heading for your property. He goes, I know. I'm trying to outrun it. It's almost catching me, and I'm running. I can hear him running when he sees his phone going. I guess he just turned it on, did not knowing if it was his wife, and he was running in front of the fire. He said, "You better get home. You better get home," because I only live an air mile from him.
Yeah.
I get home. I got room to grab a few little armloads of stuff, and I'm gone. I had to leave. We had filled all of our motorhome all the way up. My girls, they saved their clothes. That's what girls say, right?
Yeah.
And so we lost the keys to the car. So we thought the car was going to burn up
Yeah.
because they got buried by stuff. And so I lost my cabinet business, my whole entire life savings in lumber, hardware, lacquer, the cabinets I was building at the time. And the most expensive thing that wasn't the building, it was the tools in the building.
Oh boy.
So what ended up happening was my claim had to be escalated
Okay.
to a class 2 or something. It was over almost $250,000. It was a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
So they told us it's going to take almost a year to settle it up. We might be able to give you a check along the way here and there. But we don't know what's what, but it's going to take a long time. But you'll actually get, a little bit more out of it. Well, I was grossly underinsured. I found out,
Oh boy.
so I had to use a lot of the money they gave me for tools to rebuild and stuff. But long story short, I had a capital problem, a cash flow problem.
Okay.
And so I went to my bank and I asked them if I could have access to my line of credit. And they
Mm.
said, no, we froze those up. We don't know who's going to pay us of the businesses that were destroyed. Mine was one of them. And then I said, well, what about, let me have back some of the extra mortgage payments I paid? They said, no, you don't understand. When I said, why not? They said, you don't understand amortization, do you? And that made me mad
Of course.
because they're making me look like the idiot. Here I'm the one down.
Yeah.
I've given them every penny of my money since I've been with that bank 20 some years
Yeah.
in good, never missing no payments. And then now they can't help me and then insult me too. Like, you
Mhm.
don't understand amortization. So I set in my heart at that moment, this is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to make sure that I have a cash flow plan, that if I want to pay extra on something, I can do it. And if I want to drop back out, I can do it.
Yeah. Of
So
course.
I started studying banking.
Mhm.
And what ended up happening was I paid 14 years left on my mortgage off in 22 months, or excuse me, 30 months. I'm getting my other number. I'm going to tell you next week
Yeah.
stuff. All my friends wanted to know what I was doing because I shaved 11 years off the mortgage,
Sure.
put 2,500 back into my pocket. In the next 22 months,
Mhm.
we helped 1,500 people do the same thing, saving them 230 million and putting them back over 2,000 an average in their pocket.
Right.
So what happened to me was I decided I had enough with this banking system,
Yeah.
and that when I'm down, something bad happened to me. This fire could have destroyed me. I felt like, God, why me? I felt like Job's
Oh, of
turkey. I'm
course.
poorer
Yeah.
than Job's turkey now. But I thought, you know what? This can destroy me. I can sit here and question God, or I can get up off the floor and let this teach me something to insulate this from ever happening. And you know what happened?
What happened?
It not only changed my life drastically,
Yeah.
it's changing thousands of other people's lives now because now I'm a coach and I teach it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I completely changed jobs.
Wow. Do you miss the cabinetry stuff?
I love cabinetry. Yes, I do. And I do stuff on the weekends. I rebuilt the shop
Good.
by
Okay.
2016 and
Yeah.
I made it bigger, a lot bigger, with a lot higher ceiling.
Good.
And I've got the tools in there that I want to do to build what I want to build. And it's just kind of a hobby now.
That's great. So
It's not to pay my
tell
bills
no,
anymore.
but you know what? That's great. You still have the hobby, but you also now have a passion to help people um, be like their own, I guess, their own bank, like you've told me,
I want to
right?
help them understand that what's killing their wealth is their checking and savings account,
Okay. All right.
storing idle money. Who's it benefiting while we're talking? Who's your money benefiting when it's sitting in a checking? The
Absolutely.
bank.
Bank, the bank, and they go and loan it
Yep.
for a higher interest rate,
9 times over.
right? Yep. So what you learned, are you able to tell us a couple things you learned from the banking system that general public may not know or understand?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number one, there's a reason why they've got your debt separated from your income.
Okay.
They don't want you collecting float on your income. They don't want you canceling interest with your income.
Mhm.
I figured out a way how to replace my checking account with
Mhm.
a different type of account at the bank for a system of money handling with my checking.
Okay.
They also don't want you to know what their tier one capital is. But I show people how to take what 40% of banks' tier one capital is and turn it into a savings account for the to play offense with the rest of the money handling system.
Okay.
So defense with the checking to cancel interest,
Okay.
offense with the savings
Right.
to get a dividend on every dollar you put through savings. This it just so happens to be that
Mhm.
there's a way that you can save money that takes the control away from the bank and allows you to loan your own money out.
Mhm.
And when you loan against a specific plan,
Right.
you don't lose compounding on your dollar. So it's the only account I've ever found that you can dual purpose your money. It can play defense at the same time it's playing offense. So what I mean is you're getting out of debt with some money and you're getting ahead with the other, and you can do it all,
Hmm.
Drew, tax free,
Tax
and
free.
it's legal. But the banks Hate it.
They don't. Okay, now do you utilize the banks at all or no?
You have to for the checking
So
strategy.
you
Yes,
still okay,
we
but
use
you all
a
right,
specific. Yep,
but you found something that they already have that they offer,
I
yet
did.
they don't necessarily publicize.
We are using it for a different reason than they
Ah,
publicize.
oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
I get it
Yep.
for a different
Now
reason.
I'll tell you what it is. It's an equity line of credit.
Okay,
Most people get one to put a swimming pool on their house or a
right, like a home
or a
equity.
garden room or a
Right.
deck.
Yes,
They never intended you to use it to eliminate debt. Now
interesting.
here's the caveat. You have to have a coach because the banks hate it. I've got 5,000 clients now in 48 states. I've done this a time or two,
They must
and
love
I
you.
know which banks will allow the strategy, and it's only about 17 of them that I have
Really?
found we've used over
Okay.
and over. There's not a lot of them out there. So we have developed a proprietary questionnaire so that they won't do to you what they did to me. They won't freeze it up. Because
Mm-hmm.
when they see you taking back 70% of their profit, they're not going to like you very well.
No.
So we teach people how to find and how to utilize this tool for this purpose.
Are these banks usually the big ones we've heard of, or sometimes are they the
Big
small
ones
ones?
hate the strategy.
Okay, the
The
big ones.
littler banks are better,
Okay,
but only certain ones.
got it. Okay. All right. No, that's
Yep.
helpful. All
I
right.
had a big bank approach me and offer me several $1 million for my company. And
Yeah.
it's not because they love me.
They want you
They
to stop
they
doing
want me to shut up.
it. Yeah, they'll
They
bury
want to
it.
shelve the idea.
They would bury it. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So give me an example of a client who was down and out with debt and had nowhere else to turn and found you and what you did for them and what their life looks like now. I'm sure you have a
Okay.
perfect
Well, we
example.
have a very holistic process. We use Robert Kiyosaki's method of the four domains of finance. So the first thing we do is we draw a house on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
and the roof is the triangle part at the top. We say, okay, the roof on your house is for protection, right? It protects your stuff inside.
Mhm.
Well, if we're talking a financial house, what's inside? Assets that need protection and liabilities. You want to protect yourself from going in debt. What holds the house up is the foundation. In finance, what would we call the foundation? The cash flow, baby. If we lose cash flow, the whole house is coming down. You're either going to go in debt or you're going to deplete your assets or both,
Mhm.
right? First the assets go, now the debt.
Right.
But the roof, the protection in the finance world, that's the insurance. Health insurance protects you against having to dig into your assets to pay for your sickness. Life insurance protects you from having to dig into your assets when someone dies. Automobile insurance keeps you from having to dig into your assets when you get in a crash.
Mhm.
Homeowners insurance when you have a fire, et cetera, right? So insurance, assets, liabilities, cash flow, the four domains of finance.
Okay.
We know that there's only one product that can affect all four domains at the same time.
Okay.
And so we always try to use that product. But the first thing we do is holistically, using all four domains, gather all the data of that client.
Okay.
What they've got for insurance, what they've got for assets that we can work with,
Mhm.
what they've got for cash flow, and what they have for debt.
Right. Cool.
Certain kinds of debt can easily be eliminated. Certain kind of debts can be moved around. Certain kind of debts can be reconstructed to
Mhm.
promote a bigger foundation of cash flow.
All right. Okay.
Certain debts can be repurposed for more protection
Mhm.
because some people have their house looks like this big $350,000 liabilities, $50,000 IRA, and a $25,000 of life insurance. So the roof doesn't cover the whole house. The rain's
Mhm.
getting in there, right? Or the foundation is so thin it's going to crumble. We want a healthy foundation. We want to build assets, eliminate liabilities,
Mhm.
and provide protection. So if someone comes to me down and out, just know that we're holistic. We look at all four domains. So oftentimes help will come in a way you don't expect. And we could almost in some way help everyone. And some people say, well, I have bad credit. I don't own a home. I this or I that. You might be surprised what we can help with. We have a lot of different tools. I now own a complete financial distribution platform, and we are rich with affiliate partners
Mhm.
to help us with lending money and eliminating student loan debt. And, I mean, just to name a few, disability insurance guy, a home and auto insurance guy, all that kind of stuff.
And
We now
for
do
yeah. You can
The
help
full
people too with like wills and trusts. You have the people
the
can.
full spectrum. We do income planning, retirement planning, wills and trusts. We have attorneys in house that we have trained from, and we actually write trusts in house. The
Unbelievable.
average estate, just so you know, Drew,
Mhm.
every $100,000 it's worth is going to go through a probate, and it's going to cost an average state. It's about $5,000 per 100 grand. So
Yep.
if your house is worth a quarter million and you got about say a $500,000 estate total, that could cost about 25,000 on average.
Yeah.
When for one $2,500 fee, you can get your house in order with the trust.
Okay.
Think of it as an armored car that safely gets your assets where you want them to go. But here's the kicker: 70% of trusts that are already written
Right.
are not funded because attorneys have no compunction to want to help you with that,
Mhm.
since they would rather you go through probate and they get to collect that 5,000 per 100. See,
Oh boy. Yeah.
our trust comes with a funding kit to make sure the assets get placed in the trust. I'll bet somebody listening to this podcast has a trust, but it's never been funded because most of them haven't.
Wow.
It's like writing a check and not signing it.
So I've heard that there are some trusts that are in people's wills, and then some trusts are standalone trusts, and they're not related to if you die or not. Is I is, do I have that?
There's many types of trusts,
Yeah.
and there's different types for different needs,
Okay.
right? So sometimes people might want asset protection or they might want tax mitigation.
Okay.
Some people want an offshore trust, something like that. A lot of those big, big fancy ones are for a higher net worth above 3 million or something,
Oh,
but
okay.
not always.
Right.
Okay. We might need a special needs trust.
Okay.
Our trust has provisions for many of those things,
Mhm.
and it is a revocable living trust. It becomes irrevocable the day you die. No one can change it.
I
It
see.
comes with a dashboard, and you get to see all your stuff right there. You can make forever changes
Right.
without having to pay an attorney.
Okay.
It's nice. And for $200, our admin staff will print the trust on silk paper and put it in a leather binder and
Oh,
then
wow.
highlight where you need to get it signed and notarized.
Yeah.
Show you where to get your house redeeded for the trust, all
Wow.
that stuff. How to put your assets in there. There's full videos and
Mhm.
directions on how to do that. Because that's what makes a trust. The hard part is actually getting it across the finish line.
Right, absolutely. I love the way I look at what you do is, when people want to improve their health, they right away think about their physical health, right? And some may think about their mental health, but the financial health of the family is very important. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So they
Mm-hmm.
can come to you to improve the financial health of the family.
And a real big one is most people aren't just using the checking and savings, but most people are saving into a tax deferred IRA.
Yeah.
Well, even if they're not putting it into volatile investments that can crash the market, one thing we got to think of is it doesn't matter if you voted for the liberal president or the conservative one.
Right. Right.
Our world is topsy turvy. It's going far left, far right. What if taxes go up in the future to
Right.
50%?
Right.
How much of your tax deferred IRA is yours when you finally pull it out?
Right. And how
You
much
just
goes?
lost half of it, right? That 401 became a 201.
Mhm.
We show people how to pull their money out of their left pocket where they're paying fees, taxes, and there's volatility, and put it in their right pocket where it's never taxable again. They can't lose a dime if the market crashes. In fact, the products that we use, if they go in a nursing home, no one can touch it. If they get sued, no one can touch it. And it passes tax free to the family within a week of death. It's like owning a trust. And in the 13 states that don't recognize that law, if we use a trust, then they do,
Okay.
because then it's protected.
I was going
Because
to
in a
ask you,
trust, you
yeah.
control the asset, you just don't own it on paper,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you what are the risks to do something like that for your clients?
The risk to do something like what? To transfer an IRA from taxable to non?
Yeah,
Waiting. The risk is waiting
that's it.
until there's finally a black swan event in the market or taxes go to 50%.
Hmm.
Because what you're doing is you're transferring to the largest industry in the world. Did you know if you add up all the wealth in the oil industry in
Yeah,
the whole world
yeah.
and you add up all the wealth of all the banks in the world, it does not equal the wealth in the North American life insurance industry.
Okay.
And many of the annuity and insurance products we use for planning to mitigate tax and risk for our clients is from the insurance world. It's like the framework that we use. We've got leveraged solutions that pay as high as 12 to 16% tax free.
Wow.
It's fantastic. And when you're a business owner
Mhm.
and you want to protect from taxes, like when you're selling your evaluated business, or
Mhm.
you're someone who had inherited a highly appreciated piece of real estate
Mhm.
or a highly appreciated stock you want to liquidate, you need protection from all those capital gains.
Very true.
And these products are the single biggest benefit in the tax code.
Wow. So, and you know what I love what you do too is you have a lot you're multi-diverse in the sense of you not only help this way, you have other ways to teach people how to get residual income too, because that's the way to do it. You don't want income just coming from one place. Because you told me about one thing that you do. You've helped a lot of elderly people make money. You want to
That's right.
tell us about
Okay.
that
For
idea?
number one thing I'll say
Yeah.
is if you are listening to Susie Orman, stop listening to her. She's dead wrong. Because if you're betting against an annuity in a portfolio, you're betting against math. There's no other company in the world that can pay you a guaranteed pension for the rest of your life, not knowing how long you'll live, that can afford it than an insurance company. I just told you about their wealth and their protections.
Right.
Here's why. When you buy an annuity, it's an insurance policy for your wealth, saying, I might live a long time and I might need a pension. When you buy life insurance, you're betting you might die early. If COVID had killed us all they got to do is have half of their investments in annuities and they're 50% safe. If we live a long time with science, they're not profitable in their annuities anymore, but they're profitable with their life insurance. So, regardless of how the insurance industry rocks and wanes on the ocean, they'll always be safe. Their risk isn't with markets, it's in lifespans, long ones and short ones.
Right.
The second thing we do is we show people how to reposition one of their often biggest assets. Seniors usually have equity in their home.
Mhm.
And we show them how to transfer that because Robert Kiyosaki will tell you if you're not making income from your home, it's not an asset.
Okay.
Even if you got equity in it, it's a liability because you still got upkeep and insurance and
Mhm.
sometimes a payment.
Right.
But if you can make an income from it, so we show people how to transition some of the equity,
Mhm.
how to start little things like businesses. Most of the time, you have to buy about 150,000, like say here in Idaho, in real estate to make about $1,500 a month in rent.
No.
I bet anybody listening to this, it's at least 150 grand house where you live to
Right.
make 1,500 in rent.
Oh, yeah.
What if I told you I could show you how to start a business as a senior, spending 15,000 and making 1,500? You could spend 1/10 of the money to make the same check. And
Mm.
guess what? You can run that business from your cell phone. And a senior could have a grandson
Mhm.
take the little 10-minute per day job of the maintenance in the business. It's
Wow.
really easy. And I
Okay.
don't want to give up my secrets
Yep.
on the radio. You just get
Yep.
a hold of me. We
Yep.
got little old ladies
Yep.
making thousands of dollars a month with this model. And it's very, very easy. And I'm telling you what, it's a way to build cash flow.
I
And we
love it.
show people how to run that income through these
Mhm.
programs that we're talking about to protect it. Because
Right.
guess what? If you go in a nursing home,
Yeah.
you need protection from them. They will make you spend down your assets. So we don't know if you're going to live a long time and need an annuity. We don't know if you're going to die soon and need a life insurance. But the middle phase of retirement, you might get sick along the way.
Right.
And you need a plan in place in case you need care, right?
Absolutely. So I want the audience to get to know Jason, the father, and what kind of good human being you are. I know you have a passion for helping people, and we talked about the financial piece. You and I have spoken about our children because I have a son who's got autism, and you've told me about your daughter.
Yes.
She's a remarkable woman, and I'd love for you to tell us a little about your daughter and how you personally and professionally have helped her and devised ways to help other families with special needs help their child.
Yes. Well, as you know, if you have a special needs child, and if they are receiving, like, let's say SSI or something like that, they could actually lose their benefits if you leave assets to that child. So I have a saying, you never want to leave your child anything, any of your children. Don't leave them anything. Leave them life insurance and get a trust and then make them beneficiaries of the trust. If you were an elderly person and you wanted to leave your child $50,000, what's that going to cost you? $50,000. You know what that's going to cost your child? Probably 20 grand in taxes. And if they don't spend it down in 10 years, they get a 20% excise tax when this new inheritance law,
Mhm.
Secure Act 2.0 of 2020, right? If you just were to go as a senior, let's say you were 70 and fairly decent health and give an insurance company 15 grand, they'll write you a $50,000 death benefit. Now you give your child the death benefit. Guess what? Passes within a week of death and it's tax free. Costs your child nothing. And you just saved 35 grand. You can go help two more grandkids or go spend it.
Wow.
Don't do what the Vanderbilt or who is it? Who was it? The Rothschilds did what the Rockefellers do. Don't
Rockefeller.
leave your kids money, leave them life insurance,
Mhm.
but use a special needs trust. We have a bequest in our trust so that a child doesn't get hurt from any of the assets there because you're leaving it to the trust.
Right.
And so when you have a special needs child, they need care, right? And so there's things you can do along the way in lifetime to make sure that they're safe as well. But definitely planning for your exit strategy is important. Now, is that what you were looking for?
That's part of it. I want to go deeper, and I do want you to tell the story if you can about your daughter and what you have built for her on site, and her daily life here. That
Oh, I see. Yeah,
you as
my
a
daughter.
caregiver. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter. She was born with her umbilical cord around her neck and in a knot, so we could have lost her.
Right.
But she's autistic, so we have to make special arrangements for her. So we have a spot on our property where an RV can go. So we during COVID, um, motorhomes got real cheap there for a while,
Right.
and we couldn't get a tiny home because they got real expensive. It's way out of her budget. So we put a roof over the top of it and everything, and she's got a nice place on our property to stay. And then she belongs in a program called the Idaho Self Direction Program, where
Okay.
she could actually hire siblings and family members to care for her.
Wow.
And so she's safe in the community and different things. So she's set up for life and she's set up for after her parents are gone. We have things in our trust of
Yeah.
people that we will entrust for her care. You
Right.
know,
Well,
so you
thank you
don't
for
want to wait until it's too late. You want to tell your a budget's telling your money where to go.
Mhm.
So when you're out of it, you don't have to worry where it went. A trust is telling your assets where to go, so that when you check out, you don't have to worry where they went.
Right.
It's that armored car that
Mhm.
safely gets your assets across the finish line.
So, folks, the reason why I wanted Jason to dive deeper and tell us about his daughter is he and I both have children with autism, and one of the biggest fears for caregivers or parents with children with autism is how are they going to be able to be independent, and what is their life going to be like when we die? Because it's reality, and it's a fear that's real, and there are not many places we can go if we don't know people like Jason, who not only have a child with special needs, have learned, he's learned on how he could protect himself, his family, and his child for when he's not here. Most of us don't think about that. We think about right now, which is good to stay in the moment. We also have to make decisions in the moment that are going to benefit us years from now and benefit our family years from now. So Jason's got ways to do that because having a child with special needs is a challenging task, and any help you can get from trusted individuals, I suggest you do take it. So thank you for that, for all of this, Jason. We
Yeah,
appreciate
they can look up in their own local state the self direction program.
it. Okay.
If there's family members that would like to provide for their care in case they don't feel there's anyone trustworthy in
Hmm.
their area.
Right. And you can do that not just for the special needs kid, how about the elderly parent? I mean, many of us are kind of sandwich generations that we're concerned
Mm-hmm.
about our aging parents, and then we have our children we're concerned about too. So there
Mm-hmm.
are options out there for we caregivers to help both the older generation and the younger generation and our own generation. So
Yes.
tools are out there. It's a matter of being connected to the people who have the knowledge and the wisdom and the experience. So
Yes.
it's a big reason why I wanted Jason to share this information with you. Uh, so, Jay, we're at the point where I'm sure the audience has captured the essence of Jason Nightingale, and they're going to want to get in touch with you. So, folks, best way to get in touch with Jason is go to his website, Safe Money Jason, right? Safe Money
Yep.
Jason?
SafeMoneyJason.com.
SafeMoneyJason.com. Uh, all the information you need to get in touch with him is there. You can do some reading and research on his site, and well worth a phone call, folks. So, Jason, I want to ask you two final questions. All right. Give you the opportunity. You're sitting down, picture you're by the fire, sitting down with 7 to 10 year old. You know, I said fire, I mean a fireplace, not the fire you talked about. Don't want to. But you're sitting down with young 7 to 10 year old Jason, and you're looking him in the eyes, and you want to give him advice about life. What are you going to tell him?
I was a very curious child and I read a lot, which were very good things. Sometimes my curiosity got me in trouble. But one thing that I know now that I wished I would have known then is it's okay to ask questions. And don't just ask a few, ask a lot of them. Questions, questions, questions. Because when you ask questions, it's because you're interested in finding out the answer. And you usually only ask questions of people you feel can give you the answer. So, as a 7 or 8 year old, if you really want to accelerate your wisdom, ask adults lots of questions, especially smart or wealthy adults, right? And ask them hard questions, not just easy ones.
Yep. No,
Questions that might be uncomfortable to answer, like, hey, what have you failed at? Why do you think you failed? And what now do you see that you could do better? I mean, little questions that even as a young child you're going to ask. But I was real curious. I was interested in the ocean and space. And
great.
I had all these big plans. I was going to be this astronaut that could
Oh, yeah.
also dive. And, it
Yep.
was a big time at 7 and 8 years old. But I also was without a mother at that time.
Oh,
And I
wow.
had some questions of my own that no one was answering. So that
Okay.
was a kind of a mixed bag. But I would say at that age, let your curiosity drive you to ask questions.
I love that. Thank you for that for Jason, because a lot of people think by asking questions is a weakness because it shows that you're not, not
We're
aware.
afraid to at that age.
I know. Even as adults, how many adults are afraid to ask questions because they don't want
Mm-hmm.
to sound like they're stupid or don't know what they're talking
Truth is knowledge,
about?
and
Yeah.
you get knowledge by asking.
It's a strength to ask questions. And I say this
Mm-hmm.
specifically to the men because we are taught not to ask questions and ask for help. So let's change that. Okay, different hat. You're now sitting down with Jason, the young businessman, young entrepreneur, and you want to give him advice about business. What are you going to tell him?
Oh my! When I was 28, when I was just blowing through money, didn't know the first thing about even balancing a checkbook. I
Mhm.
I still got checks. Now, it wasn't that bad. I wasn't writing checks because I still had them. But man, I just really a lot of big highs and then the lows. But I never was unemployed because I was always very resourceful.
Right.
But I would have told myself at that point in time, you know, buddy, you need to get your money handling in order. You need to get yourself a way to benefit from these dollars that you're just making. You need to, what if there was, I would ask myself, I'd start asking myself questions. I'd say, young self, what if there was a way you could benefit from last month's income this month, even after you'd already spent it on bills? What if there was a way the income you made 6 months ago or a year ago could still be giving you a dividend today?
Wow. Good question.
Why not change the way you're handling it? Don't change the fact that you get to spend it. Just change the way you're handling it. Because I'm telling you this, Drew, if I would have learned money handling at that age instead of late 40s, oh
Hmm.
my word,
Yeah.
the difference it would have made. And I think the second thing goes without saying. I would have said I needed to treat my wife better and respect her more because my wife was the cooler head. She was the more logical.
Yeah.
I was the more take risks and do stupid things when I was still in my 20s.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're still married 36 years happily. But I think it would have been easier the first 10 years if I would have grown up a little bit quicker.
Mhm.
So I
So
would have been
yeah,
probably about money and relationships.
I love that.
I would have asked myself hard questions.
Very, 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 very valuable advice. Jason, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for coming into my life. Thank you, Kim, for inviting me, introducing me to Jason. Jason, please keep doing what you're doing. You're a wonderful guy, wonderful human being, and you know your stuff, and you're spreading
I
it.
gave the credit to God. My mom
Absolutely.
had cancer when I was born. I was born with epilepsy. She fasted. God healed me. Believe it or not, I'm not supposed to be here, and I feel like I'm on a crusade, and I have a purpose and I need to help people. That's why I'm not selling out. I'm
Yeah.
staying right here and teaching people what I've learned.
I love that. Well, God bless you, Jason. Thank you, God, for Jason. And everybody else out there, please take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and give us a review to help others find it. I'd like you to answer this question. Are you living the life you want to live, or are you living the life others want you to live? I'd like you to think about that for a second, because I strongly suggest you live the life you want to live. If you want to learn more about what I stand for and my services and how I'm able to help many men get out of their own way, please go to my website at www.profitcompassion.com. Feel free to also email me at drew@profitcompassion.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care of yourself and choose to write your own story instead of letting others write it for you.